in a time where everybody wants to be a public figure. We live in a time, and please don't get mad at me for saying this, where even people who have a private account spend their whole lives posting stuff and commenting on stuff to create an image and a projection of a reality that may bear no resemblance to the reality of their situation. And Jesus's brothers pull him aside and say, we've got a great idea. Why don't you show the world who you really are? The interesting thing about the text, it says that even Jesus' brothers did not believe in him. And since they didn't believe, they were trying to get him to perform. Anytime you have unbelief in your heart, it will cause you to try to perform to prove something that you don't really believe. In psychological terms, it's called the fraudulence complex, or some call it the imposter syndrome. And it speaks about how many of us have an inability to internalize our strengths and our accomplishments. Psychologists call it the imposter syndrome, because they say that many of us secretly, deep down, feel like we're a fraud. Many of us secretly, deep down, feel like we have so much less to offer than what people expect. And that even when people compliment us, we figure that the reason that they're complimenting us is because they don't really see us for who we are. And if they ever saw us for who we are, if they ever saw how stupid we feel, if they ever saw how inexperienced we feel, if they really saw how nervous we really feel, they would kick us out the room. It happens to fathers. It happens to mothers. It happens to leaders. It happens to teenagers. It is the fear of being found out to be less than they thought you were. It is the fear that keeps you in a performance mode. It is the fear that keeps you spending money to look like something important, because deep down you're afraid that you're really not. It is the fear that keeps you overcompensating, and you get in situations, and rather than letting other people be the center of attention, you feel the need to overcompensate to show how intelligent you are, because deep down you don't feel intelligent enough. So people think you're cocky, but you're really not cocky. You're scared with the conflict between who they think you're supposed to be and who you feel like you really are. It's called the imposter syndrome. It means that sometimes, even as I'm trying to fulfill my purpose, I feel like a fake. It's not that I'm a hypocrite. It's not that I'm insincere. It's just that deep down inside, I'm a man who sometimes feels like a little boy. I'm a preacher who sometimes feels like a sinner. I want to be wise, but sometimes I feel like a fool. And I'm wondering, is there anybody here who lately has been up under the pressure of an expectation? And when you feel that, the temptation and the tendency is to prove it. I gotta prove I'm a good dad. I gotta prove I'm a good mom. I gotta prove I'm a good preacher. I gotta prove it. And when you do it to prove it, it takes the joy out of it. Jesus was going to Judea. He just wasn't going to make a public spectacle out of his power. Jesus was ultimately determined to show the world who he was, but he wasn't going to do it for the gram. Jesus said, if I go to Judea for the wrong reasons, and if I show up with the wrong motives, and if I live my life to perform for others rather than to glorify my Father, it'll kill me. The religious leaders were waiting to literally kill Jesus. But I wonder, what are the things that are killing you? It says that he purposely stayed away from Judea. What do you need to purposely stay away from in this season of your life? What do you need to purposely stop thinking about in this season of your life? Who do you need to purposely stop comparing yourself to in this season of your life? For me, it's Buck. Because the truth of the matter is, some of you are hurting in ways that you don't have to hurt, because you are putting yourself in a position that you were not built to live in. And trying to impress people and trying to measure up to arbitrary standards that are changing so fast, it'll kill your contentment. It'll kill your joy. It'll kill your marriage. It'll kill your ministry. It'll kill your family. Now, even Jesus couldn't please everybody. And he was sinless and spotless. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, couldn't please everybody. And we expect that we can. Even Jesus had to say, y'all are my family. I love you, but it's not for me. And sometimes the pressure that we feel to be special does not come from God. It comes from culture, who tells you that you've got to be so special, so different, so unique, so set apart, but you already are. When you live out of that place, it affects you to be able to do it for purpose and not for proof. Because really, who are you trying to prove it to? I mean, whoever you're trying to prove something to isn't paying attention, because they're trying to prove it to somebody who's not paying attention. And they're proving it to someone who's not paying attention. And so while we're busy posting to each other our results to prove to one another what we're worth, our purpose is dying in the place of our insecurity.